Section 18. Family. I saw Jenny today. She was sitting alone at one of the cafes. Most people don't give her a second glance as they walk by. I don't know if the sight of her was normal to them, or if they went out of their way to ignore her, as some might do to ignore the handicap. Were they repulsed? Were they afraid? Or maybe they were jealous. Little did they know. "Hey, Jenny," I said as I approached. She turned her attention to me and shot me a synthetic smile. If I didn't know better, her eyes seemed to light up at my greeting. "Can I sit with you?" I asked. "Sure, grab a coffee. It's good to see you," she said. "How's your day been?" she asked. "Well, have you ever had one of those days where everything—" I paused in embarrassment, glancing down at her cyborg body. She smiled again. "Yeah, I've kind of had one of those days too." I stirred some creamer into my coffee. "Can I ask you something?" I said. "Of course," she answered. "Do you miss it?" I said. I wasn't sure if I wanted to know the answer. "Having a real body?" she asked. I looked down at my feet in humiliation. Had I just implied that she wasn't a legitimate person? "I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way," I said. "Can we go somewhere else?" she asked. "Let's go to the arboretum." We walked in relative silence. Most people ignored us as we walked through the immense main hall. Jenny directed me with a nudge to a corridor. Reaching double doors, she pressed her key card to the panel, and the doors opened. The arboretum was huge. It was a Garden of Eden. The ceiling was at least 3 stories above us. An artificial halogen light beamed down to the rhododendron bushes and apple trees. A path of wood tiles meandered through the massive expanse of the captured forest. We were nearly alone in this place of solitude and peace. Why there were not more people there still remains a mystery to me. Memories of the cabin filled my mind. The high-tech body of Jenny, juxtaposed with the oasis of nature, plunged me into a hypnotic state. She should have seemed like an anachronism here, but she didn't. She seemed to belong here, at home. "So my question," I said, "do you miss it, your body?" She guided me to sit beside her on a marble park bench. "Do you miss the millions of skin cells that you shed every day?" she answered. I returned a sheepish smile. She had humiliated me with a simple question. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to—" I attempted to justify my narrow understanding. I felt clumsy and stupid. "It's okay, Woodsman," she said. I felt safe with Jenny. The recent events got the better of me. My emotions overflowed in her company, and I began to weep. "What is wrong with me?" I asked in vain. "You're just a person like me," she said, as she gently grasped my forearm with her organic hand. She placed her robotic arm around my shoulder and pulled me into her synthetic breast. Jenny interrupted my cathartic breakdown. "I didn't tell you the whole story," she said. "I spent about 20 years working for the company." I composed myself. "You mean the CIA?" I asked for clarification. "You're not as dumb as you look," she smirked. "Yeah, so I was protecting an asset. I had been developing him for years. Unfortunately, he was compromised. I had to get him across the border. That's where the accident happened." I could hear the sound of tiny actuators in her synthetic face as she spoke. "And for your solemn duty, they rewarded you with a robot body," I said. "I still don't know if it's a blessing or a curse," she lamented. "I'm 61 years old. Before my first body, I spent 5 years in a hospital bed, hooked up to machines to keep me alive. I don't think I will ever forgive them for that. It was a nightmare," she explained. "It's okay to cry, you know," she said. "I know about some of the things you did in your earlier life, in the Marines," she revealed. "I did my fair share of wet work for the company myself," she admitted. She didn't go into any details, but I knew the lingo well enough to know what she was talking about. "Maybe we can come here and cry together sometimes," she suggested with false optimism. Yes, I felt safe with Jenny. She was unlike anyone I had ever known. I felt a sense of closeness and familiarity with her that I just couldn't quite put my finger on. Sure, I was fond of Tori and Trudy, fond enough to sleep with. But this was different. "I've done something dangerous," I said. I was referring, of course, to my conspiracy with Trudy to simulate the amnesia procedure, and my conversations with Lucifer, and my contact with Charlotte. What do you mean? She asked. Wait, don't say one word more. We both have compartmented clearance, but don't say anything more. The less I know, the better off we both are, she insisted. Yeah, I suppose you're right, I agreed. But that doesn't mean we can't have an understanding between us, she assured me. We sat for the rest of the afternoon and spoke about various philosophical concepts. I told her about the books I was reading, the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, and the Gnostic Gospels. Do you think any of that stuff is real beyond the literary sense? She asked. It was difficult to tell if she was being rhetorical or not. Well, that is a question that would have been easy for me to answer 6 months ago, I said. I wished I could tell her more. I was like a child with a secret, just dying to reveal. It is forbidden,